Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about dominant and recessive traits. So let's get started. First of all, dominant alleles are represented by capital letters and recessive alleles are represented by lowercase letters. If we made a table, here are some examples of the dominant alleles, all uppercase, and here are the corresponding recessive alleles, the same letter but lowercase. What are homozygous and heterozygous traits? Well, there are three types of traits: homozygous dominant, heterozygous, and homozygous recessive. A homozygous dominant organism has two dominant alleles for that trait. A homozygous recessive organism has two recessive alleles for that trait. Finally, a heterozygous organism has one dominant and one recessive allele. Basically, a homozygous organism has two of the same alleles, either dominant or recessive, and a heterozygous organism has one dominant and one recessive allele. What are dominant and recessive traits? Well, let's say that there is a smiley plant. Having a yellow smiley face, this flower, is dominant, and having a red smiley face, this flower, is recessive. The allele for having a yellow smiley face would be represented by a capital letter, in this case big T because it's dominant, and the allele for having a red smiley face would be represented by a lowercase letter because it's recessive, so little t. Now let's figure out the traits for the smiley plant. Okay, so here's the table, and let's fill out the types of genotypes, which are homozygous dominant, heterozygous, and homozygous recessive. Here would be the corresponding genotypes, and now onto the phenotypes. A flower that is homozygous dominant, big T, would be yellow because the dominant allele stands for having a yellow face. A heterozygous flower would also have a yellow smiley flower because the big T is dominant over the recessive allele, having a red smiley face. So even though the allele for having a red face is present in the genotype, it is not expressed in the phenotype because the dominant allele masks the effect of the recessive allele. Now the homozygous recessive plant would have a red smiley flower because there are no dominant alleles, so it is not masked. The only way for a recessive allele to be expressed in the phenotype is if there is no dominant alleles. So in other words, two recessive alleles. Your turn. Let's say that there is a magical berry species and there are two possible alleles for a gene, big B and little b. Big B is dominant and codes for berries which aren't poisonous, so red berries, and little b is recessive and codes for poisonous berries, blueberries. Go ahead and pause this video and fill in this table. Okay, here's the answer. So for the types of genotypes, there are homozygous dominant, heterozygous, and homozygous recessive. Here are the corresponding genotypes, and now onto the phenotypes. A homozygous dominant berry would be not poisonous because the dominant allele, big B, stands for no poison, so red berries. A heterozygous berry would also be not poisonous because the dominant allele masks the effect of the recessive allele. So the recessive allele, which is having poison, is not expressed in the phenotype. The homozygous recessive berry would be poisonous because there is no dominant allele, so the recessive allele is expressed. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.